He's nearby. I'm sure he can hear us. Lissandra Tarek going to be banned away here by the Unicorns of Love. Shen, again, aimed at Chachi. Has been a series-long ban that we've been seeing out from these two teams.
So I feel like Giants shouldn't ban the cast-in because I don't think it's necessary. They played around it well in their win in Game 2. They seem to have answers for it. And I feel like as a champion, there are still many windows of opportunity that you can punish the cast-in and play around it. With the Tarek gone, it makes that a little bit harder, but champions like Tahm Kench actually do a really good job of mitigating a lot of the strength that Kassadin has. So I feel like sending that ban towards Unicorns of Love isn't necessarily warranted.
I think Unicorns going to ban Nidalee, and Giants will end up banning Rek'Sai as the last two bans, and then we get a Gragas Elise matchup. Hopefully, where neither is the first pick, so maybe we can see something else being early drafted there. I think if Unicorns actually do that and draft Tahm Kench early, that would be a win. I would like to see that, depending on how well Hylissang plays it, because then Hustlin actually has to go to a third champion this series, which might, or play the Karma again, which was highly inefficient.
Final ban from Unicorns will be the Nidalee once again. Has been consistently banned out throughout this series, and now just waiting on the final ban from Giants to round out the banning phase here in Game 4. And what will it be? They of course banned the Rise before as a respect towards Exileh from his performance earlier, Kassadin as well, so something's going to get through. Bard,
so it has
ban.
Rek'Sai. It's got to be the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, so they ban the Bard, so they first pick the Rek'Sai, and then they take away the Tahm Kench, and then Hylissang is the one that has to go to another champion. Because Alistar is really not that great into Tahm Kench. It's so easy. You can actually gobble him up mid-combo, or you gobble him up after the combo, spin him out, and you win the trade.
So Maxlore paying some respect to our fallen god Gilius.
May he rest in peace.
May
But he's going for rank 1 again.
Well, Maxlore?
No.
I mean, like, I think Gilius will get upset if he does. But yeah, there are a number of options. I agree with you, Crepo. That the Tahm Kench would make a lot of sense right now. He made a lot of great uses in Game 1, and there's no reason to change things up coming into Game 2. And it also challenges Hylissang as to what he brings out next, because he could go to the Alistar and Braum, both of which Tahm Kench are a very strong pick.
Traditional playoffs, Hylissang ends up playing like things like Morgana support or maybe even Thresh there, so I really hope this TK comes out.
Going back to his roots. Got these lock-ins now coming in. It will be Gnar and Rise. All right, Giants now taking it to the table.
But now you're just asking Unicorns of Love to pick winning matchups. You could pick Vlad and Aurelia here for the Unicorns, because Vlad will do fine into the Rise. He may struggle come the mid late. We did see the opposite matchup coming out from Knight, but it depends largely on how the early to mid game goes in the favor of the Vlad. But then the Aurelia as well, really solid pick into the
Don't you just pick Kassadin into the Rise? Yeah.
You can pick the Kassadin too.
Kassadin and Aurelia, and then you pick Ashe as AD carry, and you go for like a 1-3-1 with you have, oh my lord, you have 2 teleports, you have a global jungler, and then you have like either an Ashe or a Jhin that solidifies the deal. No Sivir, hopefully. You pick a strong bot lane, and then you can gobble up these assassins with a Tahm Kench later on.
Are they that afraid of the Rise from Exileh that they would want to pick it up? Like, I feel like this is...
Yeah, I just want you guys to explain the benefits of like picking your solo laners right here.
I mean, it's basically you pick the Gnar because it's your comfortable matchup for Smittyj, and then you pick the Rise because you don't know like how to play against it on the side of Exileh, and you think it's a power pick. However, LCK disagrees. Like they have almost no priority on this Rise pick, so really strange.
Very interesting. Well, Braum will be the pick alongside Aurelia there, so they move away from the mid lane pick as they were toying with the idea. Now Giants, with the solo lane that's locked in, they just have jungle and bot lane remaining, so they will get the pick of the litter.
So we could very well see a repeat from SONSTAR going for the Sivir once again. I feel like we haven't really talked about SONSTAR at all throughout this series, other than a couple of team fights where he's been able to do a lot of damage, and then we often critique him because we say you probably could have netted yourself a kill if you'd just been a little bit more aggressive on the Sivir. And I feel like while it might be a comfort pick for him, he really hasn't demonstrated very much on the champion throughout this series as of yet.
I mean, there's only so much you can do on Sivir.
I know, right? It's
like press R, speed up your team into sudden death. I'm like, I did my work.
Yeah, and that's often like a team call as well. It's just like, all right, we're going in. Press R. Cool. Lees will now be the pickup for Maxlore going into the jungle. And now Unicorns just their 2 final picks. I mean, it seems very obvious what they can pick up in the mid lane anyway.
I mean, they're having the casting for a while. They need to see if they actually want to commit to that, because it's a very risky strategy. It's snowball or bust here of Unicorns. If they win hard. If they fall behind, though, it's very easy for Giants to weave around that. You know, Sivir and Gnar have so much control in teamfights. If Kassadin can't assassinate either, they'll have a lot of trouble. Also, Rise Elise is incredibly potent at shutting down enemy mid laners that are kind of
they also have a pretty potent mid game with the Rise and Elise as well, because Ryze is surprisingly powerful. Again, it's one of those things where not many people to play it. You don't necessarily respect the damage, but the bonus damage that you get from the Rune and the Overload is actually pretty impactful, and the amount of AoE you can impact if you manage your abilities properly can be surprisingly impactful.
Yeah, I mean, Exile's going to know, because he played it earlier.
That is true.
So.
Very true.
Veritas is going to pick up that Hylissang for himself there.
Oh, Hustlin, don't do it.
That's the Kassadin locked in.
I really wouldn't agree with an Alistair pick here, but this is definitely going win lane, win game here. But there's so much speaking for a potential Tom Kench pick here. But yeah, Unicorns of Love, Lucian's coming back in the 2v2 meta because he's a really strong laner, and he's actually pretty decent in the Sivir. Can beat it for sure.
And the all-in at level 6 as well with a Lucian Braum is pretty devastating, so...
Curious. Okay, so that is the Alistair logged in here, guys, for Giants.
Oh, the teamfight comp for Giants. So if Giants keep even, they will win these teamfights here. Because Unicorns of Love, while they look strong in teamfight, they're weaker than they would be compared to splitting up. You know, they have a lot of what they call like duelists and like individual assassins, and they thrive in like small skirmishes, like 3v3s, 2v2s. They don't really get as much benefit from being put all together. By all means, they can win fights, you know, but not to the extent where Giants thrive in grouped fashion.
Strength of the parts greater than the sum for Unicorns of Love. But Giants, yeah, if they can get into team fights, great. Maybe able to even up the series 2-2, bring it to game 5, keep those playoff hopes alive for them. But Unicorns of Love, just one win needed to send themselves to Krakow.
So, while fights are important for Giants, something we have to consider is that in terms of dragon control, that has not been very high on Giants' priority list. You could argue whether or not that was due to the Cloud Drake or whether or not it was just Giants' tendencies, but that is a big objective that you can force fights around. And if Giants aren't willing to set up and properly look to make that an opportunity where they can snowball their comp, then we have to wonder where they're actually going to find these opportunities to actually use this big teamfight composition.
And of course, if they fall behind in laning phase as well, because a lot of strong laners coming in from the Unicorns, so if they fall too far behind, could be very difficult, but always the chance for them to come back. Once again, use those hashtags, hashtag UOL win, hashtag GIA win, as we head into potentially the final game of the day here in our quarterfinals between Giants and the Unicorns of Love. Let's see if Giants can even us up 2-2, bring us to a game 5, or Unicorns of Love can close this one out.
And Hustlin is straight up balling. Thundercow with Ignite against the Kassadin Aurelia Lucian. That's like the dream to play Exhaust, because you can click anywhere on your map in a fight, and like either you hit somebody with Exhaust or they'll dash through it and get hit anyways. But he's going for the Ignite. Really interesting.
Wow. Well, balls to the wall in this game. See if we can make it work. Looking towards Unicorns of Love. Smittyj.
Love this cheeky normal invade, but it's slightly a couple of seconds late. Usually you go around here at like 39 on curve when they want to walk around, and you queue into the brush, but they're a bit too late. Really nice by Smittyj actually dodging that.
Yeah, Ward and the Q coming in, so we'll see in this initial evade. And SONSTAR and Hustlin will push in the bottom side. Knight also pushing towards Exile, so they'll get some deep vision.
And while this may seem inconspicuous, it gives SONSTAR and Hustlin access to bot lane control, which means they can just ward enemy camps, see if they do it, and get access to lane control from level 1. And Sivir loses to Lucian Braum pretty hard in this matchup. However, if she gets the AFK push early, you can control matchups that way. You just shove the wave in the tower over and over, and then you're kind of okay.
Hylissang and Veritas now heading down here. Hustlin's just going to see them and try and get that lane priority. Taking a look at some of the items. Dark Seal picked up by Exile, most likely looking towards the Gripping Potion as well. Well, Veritas may be able to get the concussive blows procced off here, and Hustlin is going to cut the vision.
Yeah. Once again, we can see Maxlore starting on the bottom half of the map, going to get the pull from SONSTAR, but this time Hustlin went in. Remember the deep vision that he got in earlier on? Didn't actually ward up the Krugs, but is able to stop Veritas and Hylissang from getting the Krugs to themselves and getting that laning advantage. But because of how late they are to lane...
Yeah, they're finally playing it right though, because last game, it was a major mistake, or was it game 1 when they had the Karma matchup. This is how you deny a melee support. You don't over push and you just walk up and say, you want the CS? Nope, not happening. Here, CS drops. Then you stack a massive wave and then you can start denying on the tower. The reason Braum beats Alistar is because he continuously can apply passive on a much lower cooldown with the same effect essentially as a Pulverize. Alistar will likely have to skill heal level 2, which means no combo risk with flash in the tower, and then Lucian can always freely dash into the Sivir. Like, look at the zone here from Veritas. This is what we're looking for. Finally, a bot lane played well, and there's at least some denial go on, and this is why you don't draft Sivir Alistar.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, you can say oops all you like, but 3 minutes into the game, it's too late to
like
go
dash.
back.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Punish him. Bad draft.
Yeah, excited today with some strange things, Mitch. But
I love volley matchups, and I hate them not seeing punished. When you watch LCK, as much as these guys are fantastic players, they're conditioned for minimum risk.
Oh no, absolutely.
And they don't butcher bot lanes like you're supposed to. Like, these guys are not supposed to touch any CS. There's even minor mistakes here by Veritas, slightly over pushing early, but he's punishing so well. But back to Maxlore.
Maxlore, he's trying to set up a dive onto Chachi. He is level 3 along with Smittyj, but they need to be careful if you're ready to
back
dive.
and forth, but he's got Tower Erica. Of course, he does have Repel. Chachi gets a bit of damage down, but it will be Smittyj who would be able to jump after him. He has to flash away from the tower. Chachi, he's still alive. Maxlore, critical HP. Move coming in. One on time. But plans to move.
Vizicsacsi is asking them to stand up and sit the hell down. Whoa!
Oh, Great Seeker. Slime for the kill. Move coming up big for the double.
That went from bad to worse for Giants. The plan itself was fine, but it all went so wrong when Maxlore landed a cocoon onto a minion. That could not have been any worse for the side of Giants, and you're already losing your bottom lane. You need to get that advantage in the top half of the map, and things just went so badly.
Ooh, slightly late on the shield here, but it's really good counter punish here. Ignite goes on. Response with the exhaust. Hylissang was a fraction of a second too late on that boomerang interrupt. Otherwise, that trade would be heavily won here. And that actually means that SONSTAR can now actually sustain up and slightly equalize the minions because he has much higher health.
And we're going to see that replay one more time. And man, Chachi escaping so low HP.
Look at Maxlore. That cocoon onto a minion just... That's an unacceptable mistake. You can't afford to be making stuff like that at playoffs.
I would, if many top laners wouldn't flash there, if they really
the level up.
The guy also gets a level up, by the way. This is like hardcore RNG, but this is what tilt is made of. Like, this is when you tilt.
Captain, the ship is going down.
Oh, Hustlin has to flash away. SONSTAR has got a concussive blow stacks on him, but up to 3, no 4 for him, and they'll get out of that one.
Just your average Tiamat at 4.5 minutes, no big deal.
Oh, Jesus.
Move with a refresh double buff, level 4, 5 minutes into the game. So rough start for Giants.
Yeah, you can say that.
I mean, yeah, this CS almost looked equal, but right now it's still a 15 CS lead here for Veritas. He bases. It should be BF these days. It used to be 48, but yeah, on his Ghostblade build, I always keep forgetting that. It's actually a lot easier than to base 1100 gold, good base timing. And that's actually very vital. Another bot lane around here, but nothing's going on. If you have a build that requires Ghostblade, you base on like 1100 gold. And if you can do that base before your opponent actually has acquired the 1300 gold that he needs, then you get such a good advantage here, major advantage against him. Luckily, Sivir can build the Koflat's Warhammer, so it's not as bad, but like, you can really deny the early BF that way, at least.
And I mean, he even... I mean, he had to make a choice there, didn't he? Because the fact that he was forced back means that he is going to be denied away from that BF. And it was just the advantage that Veritas and Hylissang were able to accrue in the bottom. But speaking of advantages, Move is trying to use his right now in the top half of the map, getting full vision control. They now control the river. And we've talked a lot about how important it is to have control of the river right now, being able to move between the different lanes. And for Exileh, who now has hit that level 6 mark, also with the teleport, wouldn't be surprising to see him try and move around the map for a play.
It's engaged from Hustlin. Speaking of the teleport, here it comes in from someone. Hylissang's coming in. Hustlin, he's dropping low, has concussive blow stacks. The flash after to secure the stun. Level 4, no ultimate from him, no flash as well. Kill to Veritas.
That's a really good Q from Hylissang onto the cow initially, and then flashes off to secure the 4th proc before it expires. Good teleport from Vizicsacsi. They need to translate this into damage on the turret, though. It is worth sacrificing time in the top lane if you play for the turret first blood. Reaction from Giants is to send their jungler for defense. Reaction from Unicorns is to go for the 4v2 potential dive.
Knight in the mid lane, putting a hurt onto Exileh. Lots of damage coming out of the Rune Prison as well. Knight's very low on mana, but lands... doesn't land the overload, lands the flux though. Unicorns will get this bottom lane tower. 3 kills as well over to their side, and this game is going very similarly to the first game of the series. Just picking up big advantages, plus the first lane, the first tower bonus. Smittyj may be able to trade this one on the top side.
Problem is he doesn't have the minion wave, nor the support, and the Move uses that cross-map ultimate to be able to defend this turret as well. So just more advantages gained for the Unicorns of Love. And we have to backtrack very early on into this series because this was something that we were all discussing in the office where we said, you know, now that we're in confirmed standard lanes. Will this be a good or a bad thing for both these teams? And when we looked at the stats and we identified that Giants have played so few standard lanes and one even less, we thought, well, maybe it's actually Unicorns of Love actually coming in with the advantage. And you can see throughout this series when they get these standard matchups, when they have things go the way in which they need them in the early game, they can so easily snowball this into a very strong lead.
Yeah, because it seeps into drafts too. You know, sometimes like the matchups that you end up playing are picked because there also is the potential of a lane swap, so people don't pick up all per lane. Now Hylissang, he's getting caught though. Good pick up by Hustlin and Maxlore here.
Really good chain CC, but he's going to jump back to Exileh. Oh! Catches him right off to the side of Exileh. Was not able to get the hero mode body block.
Yeah, and Giants, they've only played 11 standard lane games this season, as opposed to the 36 games that they've played. That is below 1 in 3 matches. So that means every weekend, usually, barring, in week 1 they had 3 standard lanes, so that means like every weekend on average afterwards, they played 1 of their 4 games was only standard lanes. They got so used to playing lane swaps, not needing to play for these lanes with their supports, that they can actually get in butchered here in the 2v2 block.
And there's also the win rates of the teams as well. Unicorns of Love actually just did better in standard lanes versus Giants. But Move heading into the top lane. Chachi is going to aggress under the tower, but Megaform going to be responding with a lot of damage with the boulder toss there. So Chachi will think better of it. But Move, he's still sticking around for a potential dive. Chachi taking so much damage. The flash after into the Nara ultimate reaction flash. And now he's put himself underneath the gaze of Move. That'll be the kill for Chachi.
That was too greedy from Smittyj, because I was looking at that thinking Smittyj could go for the flash. Chachi had his equilibrium strike and he had his flash. That was so telegraphed. Chachi knew it was coming out, and that is why Move stuck around. Smittyj just got baited into that play.
When we see the play, it is highly likely that this guy that's getting paid to play top lane also sees this play. He flashed and then dashed back in. Good reaction by Chachi though, because if you flash too early out of respect, you don't trade flashes. So I mean, that was picture perfect. Here they go in, is like, remember this champion can mess you up thoroughly. And now let's see, this is kind of top lane poker. But when they walk forward a couple steps, that's when you know it's coming.
It's because Chachi eats the second Q that he thinks he can go for it, and then it's just, it was a little bit clutch, but still, good responses from Chachi.
If you could R flash on the R, that would have been a hit.
Yeah.
Sadly, you can't.
Unlucky.
Yeah, it's just champion. But that was his preferred pick as well, because that was like first rotation coming out from those guys, because they picked up that and the Rise. But still, 0-2 in this lane. Moves put a lot of focus on the top lane.
You know, it's important that you mention that, Pulse, because we talked about winning matchups for the side of Unicorns. Now, this Aurelia 1-0-3, well on her way to a 13-minute Trinity Force, is going to speak real issues for Giants come this mid-game.
Yeah, Unicorns are playing win lane, win game competition, but we have to remember how this all happened, you know? There was hard leash on bottom, which puts bottom lane really far behind. The payoff in that, let's get back to that later, because Hustlin's going down. Mayday, mayday.
Cow under attack. No, he's good. Maybe? Yes, he's good.
But
well,
like,
fine.
the payoff of that play is Maxlore diving top, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if they fumble the dive, everything goes wrong, because bot lane's behind and now top lane's suddenly behind, which means no pressure mid either, and Exileh gets a free lane.
Smittyj is pushing up the top lane. He's got the assistance of Maxlore. There's nothing to gank, but there is a tower there, so they will gank the tower. Unicorns of Love will trade the inner turret here. They'll take that one away for the top tower.
So notice the difference between this Unicorns of Love and Game 1. Because in Game 1, the lead was gained in the top half of the map. So they rotated their bottom up to that side, which was winning in favor of Unicorns. This time, they're going for a potential dive in mid. But they're going to stymie that. But anyway, the bottom lane was the one winning. Unicorns of Love then forced to plays in the bottom half of the map. So they're always playing on the side of the map where they have the lead and they can easily force this objective.
Yeah, it was just a good reactionary teleport too. Both side lanes were honestly applying for one of these plays. You know, bot could rotate top, top could rotate bot, and they just had the right timing to do it. In this case, Unicorns showing some adaptability, not getting stuck in like play patterns necessarily. And they see on top of the game, because even Game 3, they were slightly behind early. But they really had that condensed mid-game where they were playing as a 4-man unit repetitively, just looking for picks. You know, yeah, it doesn't matter if somebody gets more farm on the side lanes. And they were abusing the fact the Giants were not playing risk-free. If you look over at like LCK, for example, these teams have been conditioned to play so safe that very often they would back off from these pick-off attempts and get more farm on the other side of the map. And then this style doesn't work as well.
Move now the one who's aggressing into Maxlore's jungle. Traditionally through this series, Maxlore's been trying to take away Move's jungle camps, getting into his jungle, but Move with that early double kill on the early tier map puts him so far ahead of Maxlore. Maxlore just can't even get close to that Rek'Sai right now. And with 12 minutes on the clock. Pretty decent gold advantage. Yeah, going back to that earlier point I made about you getting excited and stuff, it wasn't about the matchup. It was just about like stuff that Lucian does. It was like wham, 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 and then I just saw you doing like the Lucian hand movement, and just like
I reenact the color, man. Pretty cool ability.
Giants.
It reminds me of the Matrix. If only they made a second and third movie of that series. Now move going in.
Move. He's dropping low. May indeed go down, but Hustlin's going to make his way out. And will indeed go down. Smittyj is actually getting caught up here with the CC landing on him. He's still alive. Chachi will pick up that kill. And now Exile's coming in onto Knight. Now he's getting chased after. SONSTAR, it's all about damage control now from Giants. But SONSTAR has to go back into the fight. Try and get the ricochet onto the support. But that's the kill. 4-0 for Unicorns.
Poor Hylissang was running away from the traveling ricochet as if it was like a Jaws movie, but he makes it out alive. 3-man drop for Giants. It's all going down the drain. Exileh going in.
He's going to jump in front of his ally. Take out Knight for the unofficial ace. Wishing he was Neo there, dodging some bullets, but didn't quite happen. Nice setup from the Unicorns.
Things going from bad to worse for Giants. You can see they tried to commit to this tower. 4 members versus the 3. They think they're confident enough, but Hustlin just gets locked up underneath the turret. He thinks with his ultimate he can take it, but he's only level 6. The damage reduction is only 50%. And then with Smittyj in mini-nar for too long, it's just an easy cleanup for the Unicorns of Luck.
And we see why Unicorns really like this passive here. Look at how close SONSTAR comes to kill Hylissang, by the way. This Braum passive is paying dividends. It was a super late ultimate from Hustlin. Right now on Alistar, the priority has to be to survive, no longer to break free out of the CC chain and train, kind of, you know. It was just too late from Hustlin, and then they overcommit, and then it was slim pickings for Giants, but it was a lot of free pickings for Exileh. He could really pick his target and finish them off. Didn't overchase Knight either. It's a little obvious thing, but it's so important that you just turn back and solidify the fight and pick up like 3 or 4 kills as opposed to going for the ace and maybe then dying on the back end.
This is such a big advantage now from the Unicorns. I mean, like 6,000 gold plus the Herald over to Chachi. Like, this is getting to the point of insurmountable. And it's at 15 minutes into the game. And we were saying this game 1 as well, biggest gold lead at 15, and now they're just doing it again.
It's one of those situations where your only win condition was not lose lane. And then, slight problem here, gents.
Yeah, but they're catered around snowballing, and honestly, both game 1 and now game 4 go back to a single play that decided the series.
Yep.
Game 1, it was that rotation that we talked enough about. Now Maxlore is dropping, he has nowhere to go, has to flash out. But this series, it goes all about that play in the top lane, because it is not only the dive being fumbled, it's also the investment cost into that play. Getting a Sivir with a melee support to hard leash, and then having to walk into a Lucian in lane versus a Braum, level 1 gets punished. You have no access to spell shield. You don't have a camp to your disposal to get your spell shield sooner, so you can get zoned for a full level. They ate so much poke there. That needs a payoff. Knight right now.
Yeah, he's going to have to burn the heal from SONSTAR to keep him alive. Prayseeker also connecting. Chachi was there just in case he could potentially get the snipe down with Blade Surge. And Move is also around the side. But Unicorns have loved such a stranglehold over the jungle of Giants. Look at all the vision they have down and all the pressure they have. So difficult for Giants even to step foot on their own side of the map.
And the thing is, it's 16 minutes in now. You could even set up the 1-3-1 if you want, if you're Unicorns, because you have the Trinity Force on the Aurelia. Rod of Ages, even though it's not a massive spike for Exileh, because he's already level 11 and he has 2 points in his little Rift Step, he can do a huge amount of damage, and there's really no one that's going to be able to stop him. Knight, at this point in the game, just doesn't have the damage to trade against Kassadin. To be honest, he may very well never will have
I love how we call it the little Rift Step. It's like a little cute thing.
Yeah, just like
except it's drawing energy from the void to annihilate.
Because it used to, I remember Rift Walk, where you could literally like jump a mile. Those are the days of Kassadin.
If that's a mile though, then like Teemo.
Rift Sprint.
Oh,
this might happen, by the way, mid lane. Chachi's sticking down. Drop, stop, drop, roll. Yeah, he got it. He's good.
Quick burn heal coming out from his little health pot there.
Yeah, always have that in the inventory. It's good to have.
We never had the conversion rate, you know, from units in League, but we'll get back to that later.
Moves coming in. Doesn't get the knock-up. Nice stop there from Giants. They're down from the overload as well, and eventually Smittyj will join the fight 4.5 seconds later.
Yeah, this is where we see like animals in the wild when it's cold. They all huddle together right now. Giants, they're facing adversity, strength in numbers. They need to group up, but Unicorns will split them up first. Divide and Conquer, cast into a side lane. As Betty has just said, you know, the 1-3-1 is what they need. They need to enable these duelists as well as they can. Vizicsacsi's like, can I 1v2? Can I make a montage? No. This is quarterfinals, so let's keep it clean.
You know that the moment a minion gets low, he's like, it's time to do.
These are the dashes!
But as we've mentioned earlier, in terms of control over the vision, things not doing that well. And Chachi, once again, going for his Q max, as he often does on Aurelia. It does enable you to be that slippery, slidey Aurelia.
Yeah, but you need to have those exit creeps prompted, you know? So you need to have one creep to go in, one to go out. Now Veritas dashing in.
Nice, getting clawed out. Lots of damage coming in from Veritas. Q doesn't quite land.
Chachi
jumping in there. Should be able to pick up the kill. Oh no, he's exhausted. Knight will take down the kill. Knight, he eventually gets taken out by Exileh, who finishes him off with that null sphere. Now moves coming in to try and finish off Smittyj. Lots of damage coming in from him. That ultimately is just a 1-for-1 trade.
It was time to dive in and feed for Vizicsacsi.
Someone's going to create a remix of this. It's going to be glorious. Move, looking for another potential assassinate onto the mid lane. Maxlore's very low, but it will just get the zone that Unicorns of Love need to try and take down this middle lane tower. Another tower to them. 4 towers to 1 in this game currently, gents.
Looks like Chachi did try to go for the montage moment. And to be fair, though, Knight was pretty low. The setup was definitely in his favor. It just resulted in an ever slow, slight response from Hustlin to get that headbutt pulverize combo, mitigate Knight from losing his health bar, but then Exileh was there on the back line, using that Rift Dance, to be honest, to just dance in, dance on out again, and pick up the kill and get away with his life.
And that's the montage paradox, you know. In the pursuit of getting into the montage, you actually become what they call montage material.
Where the music goes from da 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 to da 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 da.
I was thinking more like what you say, and you know, turn to sepia. But Giants,
grey screen.
Grey screen, guys, grey screen bug. But mid lane gonna be cleared out using that ultimate from Veritas as well. Bit of blam blam out there.
But yeah, we also need to look at what this means for Unicorns as a team, because like it is quite obvious they're ahead right now, but we need to put this in the storyline of playoffs. These guys have hit playoffs every single time so far. And it started out pretty decently in a really tight series. Against, it was against Fnatic. I think they were in 2 and 3, barely losing that series. But right now, Unicorns, after that, they've lost every single game, I think. And they're finally bouncing back, you know, proving that they can come back from adversity. And right now, finishing 6th, taking on the 3rd place team and winning in this fashion, it has to give them hopes.
Yeah, to play against G2, because they are the lowest seed, so they would end up going up against the Giants of Europe.
Yes, but in a matchup against G2, like, standard lane matters what you need. In lane swaps, they would get murdered here.
Yeah.
But if their matchup bot can somehow survive, there is a world in which Vizicsacsi can at least challenge, expect who's a weaker standard laner. Now, Hylissang's face checking. He has to survive. He does survive.
He has been quite the survivor in this game, to be fair. He's definitely been able to get out a lot of tricky situations. It's surprising the number of burn heals that he does have, because
he's face checking galore, though.
That is true.
A lot of situations to get out of.
He's an adventurer, I would say. Always looking
a pioneer of generational support.
Always looking for new and to broaden his horizon.
I mean, pioneers usually survive. I don't think that...
At least long enough to write the book, right?
Write the book, like, sticking your head headfirst into, like...
I mean, you never hear of the pioneers who don't survive, because they can get to write the book, right? So...
I think the book will end in semifinals too, but at least it may be a slightly closer semifinal than we would have projected initially, because this meta is definitely suiting Unicorns. However, they're giving away a lot of information in this series.
So there's also, we have to look at the bright side for Giants, because they do still have that great team fight comp. It only takes 1 Baron from Unicorns for Giants to turn it around.
That's a very optimistic statement.
You know what? I am the optimist. I always like to look at the bright side, you know. And Giants, they do have a very powerful team fighting composition, and I just come back to this whole game of Unicorns versus Vitality.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in the enemy base.
No, I get it, Betty,
impossible.
but like that's such a solo queue morale thing to say. It's just like, guys, we have like
that
guys,
guy
we can
in
take
solo queue. I'm like,
Baron.
guys, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if that Riven has 23 kills. He can't. If he gets 24, he can't get a 7th item, can he? Yeah. Like we just need to buy time.
Yeah, guys, we've hit the point of their maximum gold efficiency.
Yeah.
They can no longer purchase items. They're running out of item slots. We aren't.
We can only get stronger.
At this point, it's only a climb upwards for us.
Exactly. Whereas they stagnate. So
the problem right now is there's plenty of item slots left for Unicorn.
Yeah, that's the issue. That's the issue.
If Lee capped out at like 2 item spikes, great. Giants got a chance. The problem is, not yet.
Not yet. And the
we're
fact that
actually on,
SONSTAR
all across the board from Unicorns.
SONSTAR still hasn't completed his second item versus the Ghost-played Black Cleaver of Lucian 13.
No one has on Giants versus the Unicorns. So every single roll was
Good
weaker
roundup.
than-
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, than the counterpart, unfortunately. Oh, Maxlore does not want to be stepping up with the damage from Exileh. That's a full combo coming in. Waiting for those cooldowns. Will have to jump away with the flash. Rift Step was looking for him.
That was like a Rift Crush right there. He was trying to crush that spider into oblivion because the amount of damage that he had going for that second item, Lichbane, just shreds through this squishy Maxlore who he's decided to go a little bit tanky, but without any magic resistance, is going to force him back and set up Unicorns for a Baron.
And that was the jungler as well.
Two-man Baron here. They're hoping to reveal enough members to tell Giants, hey, we're obviously not doing Baron, because you can see at least 3 of us. Surprise, two-man Baron. They are going a bit low though, so if there's ever a moment to build a throw, it's here.
Yeah, but now Hylissang's arrived, so he can also juggle the aggro, and no, they're good to go. And Hustlin will finally step in, it's like, oh, well, and 4 health remaining on that as the smite came down, so there was potential for montage hype from Hustlin, but unfortunately a little too late to the party.
But remember that Exile burned Maxlore's flash early on as well, so there was
Yeah.
like little to no way of him getting that steal. Just really good setup from the Unicorns.
That was what we were looking for. Game 1 a bit more, slightly more methodical approach. They obviously have champions that are catered slightly better towards punishing here. They had good vision control in enemy red jungle. They forced the face check. Giants, they're on the back foot. In a scrim, this is a forfeit, but
Yeah.
they're just clinging on that last bit of hope here. But also the story of Giants in this playoffs, while they will be eliminated right now, they challenged adversity and they finished 3rd right now. They're looking for a counter pick up here, Vizicsacsi, that's going to buy them time, but it's not going to change that much here for the Giants. They came in as such favorites here because they had really good macro as a team, but we were questioning the strength of their 2v2, you know, and we were questioning Smittyj and the top lane Holy Trinity was good, but then that was also a strength for the Unicorns.
Yeah.
And they kind of fumbled one play again. There's 2 deciding plays in this entire series for me that decided it all.
I mean, ultimately, Unicorns of Love had their own Holy Trinity, and it was in fact Illuminati, and they came back and just completely stomped it out. Like, to steal a line from, I guess, the quick drop bingo card, dare I say, this game is going even better than game 1, because Giants are just pretty much unable to get like anything. They're able to get like some small picks, but nothing really else.
But if you're going to take a line out of the quick shot bingo card, you have to take the Coon that hit that minion at first here. Here we see it, you know, creative use of the Rise ulti, just a quick teleportation into the Krugs. It's like, haha.
Wait, what?
You're looking for Krugs. 2 were gone, 3 took its place.
It's like when you stand there pretending to be the Krugs and he actually walks up.
No, that's
Wait,
literally
pretending to be the Wolves. Yeah.
Giants trying to defend this middle lane inner tower now, but Unicorns of Love with this Baron buff, putting a lot of damage down. Luckily they have this Sivir, so they are able to buy a little bit of time, but it's only like 26 minutes into this game where Unicorns of Love are trying to take these very deep objectives away from them. Move up, and Veritas poking with the ultimate. Pretty much gets a full channel onto Hustlin. That's going to force him away from the tower, and that will result in Unicorns taking this one out. Bottom lane tower is going to fall as well.
This is the 1-3-1 that we were talking about during Champion Select. Giants, their composition is built around team fighting, and when you have 2 side laners that are so strong at this point in the game, and with a Baron to back them up, just Giants are running out of answers.
And this is something we saw. Yes, they have a gold, but strategically this makes sense. You know, 1-3-1 into teamfight comps is what broke apart the meta as well in Season 3, the early parts there. The entire meta was focused around, you know, also standard lanes and then looking for these teamfights. But certain teams like Fnatic came out in the 1-3-1, they divided and conquered. They didn't allow the sum of the parts to be greater than, what is it?
The sum of the parts to be greater than the... Hang on.
The whole to be greater than the sum of the parts, or the team comp to be greater than the sum of the parts individually. However, the parts are never being summed up because they're never together. Yeah. That's the point. Divide and conquer here. Split push working out for Unicorns.
It's working out so well as well. I mean, like, this is the scenario where 1-3-1 works perfectly, and it's just like, you're on the other side. It's like, what can we do? It was just impossible. Like, they're all over the place. They're strong in every single lane.
I dare say that 12,000 gold helps you.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It looks so convincing because you just can't do anything about it. But yeah, 12,000 gold helps. Plus 2 dragons, plus the next one's going to be ocean. Like, everything has gone the way of Unicorns of Love. Like, almost getting to the point of perfect gaming Giants, with that only 1 tower kill on those 3 deaths.
But it was still a mistake from Giants.
It was.
That was punished by Unicorns. It wasn't anything that they generated themselves. If anything, Vizicsacsi is prone to getting kind of outplayed in the top lane position-wise. This is one of many instances where Maxlore found access to Vizicsacsi, like game 2 it was, where I think the Elise showed up,
Yeah.
cocooned him, he had to flash out, Maxlore visited again, not enough vision, Vizicsacsi died. Almost the way like Soaz ended up overextending out in Origin. So this is something Unicorns of Love need to take and fix for their series against G2, because Trick will be definitely smart enough to challenge that.
Because if we just backtrack, you know, we hype on about that dive, but if you just think that that was a kill for Giants, then they could have done the swap. They could have moved their bottom lane top half of the map. They could have done the play that Unicorns did in game 2, or game 1 even, and then it could have been a completely different game.
That's why that play and the play you were referencing are the 2 game and series deciding plays of this entire series. Right now, Veritas dodges the combo from Hustlin, and we got a fight.
Hustlin is trying his best, trying to get into this fight, but I mean, he has to pop ultimate and just walk away, and such long cooldowns. Use all of his summoners as well. Chachi and Exileh, maybe they can get one pick here. Exileh locked up by Smittyj, but he didn't even take much damage. Chachi will take the opportunity to snipe down the cow, and the cow's down, and so is Maxlore, so is Smittyj. He's trying to scuttle to safety, but after all of that, that's the triple kill for Chachi. The 5-0, Unicorns of Love, massive win.
Unicorns of Love find the opportunity, they get the kills, and they're going to close out the game.
And in convincing fashion, 3-1 in this series. Unicorns of Love take it over Giants and punch in their tickets to Krakow.
Yeah, the Unicorns here. Well deserved.